Welcome, welcome everyone to a brand new episode of our Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. We are thrilled to have you join us today for what promises to be an engaging and informative discussion. I am Rajni Bharara, your host for today's show. Before we dive into our topic, I want to extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you. Whether you're joining us for the first time or you are a returning viewer, we are delighted to have you here as a part of our community. Now, I would like to read out this important disclaimer present on the screen. By watching our videos, you agree and understand that the information provided by our experts and attorneys, including comments and replies from users, is not legal advice. Use of information is at your own risk. And now, without any further ado, allow me to introduce our esteemed guest for today's episode, Attorney Sonal Sharma. Sonal is a leading expert in immigration law with a wealth of experience spanning across continents. Her insights are sure to shed light on our topic of discussion today. Sonal Sharma is the founding member of Sharma Law Associates. She has extensive work experience in India, Asia Pacific, North America, and Europe. She specializes both temporary non-immigrant visa petitions and permanent employment and family-based immigration immigrant visa green card applications. She also has extensive work experience in commercial litigation and arbitration with top international law firms in Paris and London. Sonal also received an LLM from New York University School of Law in 2013, specializing in international arbitration and litigation. So now, without any further ado, Sonal, welcome to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. It's such a pleasure having you on the show today.
Thank you, Rajni. Very delighted to be here. Thank you for having me here.
Lovely, so amazing. And we have already given your details on the screen. If you can see, for the viewers, here are the details of Sonal Sharma if you want to, get in touch with her. But before that, I would like to tell everyone that please note that the session is being streamed live on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. I guess also on Instagram, and the handle is Immigration Talk Show. And don't forget to subscribe to us. And if you have any question to Sonal, wherever you're watching it from, please comment with your questions. We'll be glad to take your questions. All right. So Sonal, without any further ado, let's get started. And our topic is the H1B Visa Program helping or hurting American workers? Okay. So this is our topic. So we are definitely going to delve into it and ask questions about this topic. But right now, I would just like to start this episode on a fun note, with a fun question. So, if you can tell me what is the best part about your work? What is that you love the most about your work?
Well, like I mentioned, right, like you read out about my biography, I was a litigation and arbitration attorney for a very long time, and then I happened to move to US, where I literally gone through the whole immigrant journey myself.
Wow.
And at some point, I realized that I need to switch legal fields to understand the immigration system better because I was myself going through it. And that's how I got intrigued to practice immigration law. And I think that's the part which kept me in this field. And it's been 10 years now that I am practicing immigration law, is because I think I can relate to people and I can empathize better because I know what they're going through because I've been through that system myself. So I aim to, provide good services while understanding the situation they are in. And I think that helps. That helps in relating to your clients and kind of provides you that satisfaction that you are able to bring that happiness to people, which you once felt yourself while, going through this whole immigration system and reaching the end point at that stage. So yeah, that's the best part, I guess, that I can relate to my clients and that way I can bring the best of services to them.
How beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for answering the question, Sonal. Now, let's delve into the topic and let me ask you my very first question. So, there's a lot of noise around this H1B visa program. I mean, the immigrants, they definitely think it as a boon, but there are also people and critics who also criticize H1B visa program, right? So if I ask you, being an immigration attorney yourself, so do you believe the H1B visa program is essentially a tool for corporations to exploit cheap labor from overseas, undercutting American workers?
Well, see, the H1B program is a regulated program. It is not just like, oh, anybody can just sponsor. Checks and balances in place. And when you're saying cheap labor, H1B workers are generally highly skilled tech workers, right? Yes, H1B is available for all other occupations as well. It's available for doctors. It's available for all sort of lawyers, architects, every field, engineering field or other fields. But mainly it's for used by the tech workers, people who are in STEM fields, and there is a need for these jobs, labor force in United States. Now, it is a regulated worker, and it is not that the employers can choose to pay whatever they want to pay. Like I will just pay minimum salary and bring somebody in. That's not how it works. So the Department of Labor decides that what is a prevailing wage in a particular county, and that's where the employer has to figure out what are they going to pay based on the position. There are 4 levels of prevailing wages: level 1 to level 4. Level 1 being the entry job, and level 4 being the most experienced job. So based on the requirements of your positions, the level of salary is decided, and depending on which county it is, the Department of Labor also take into consideration the cost of living. So for example, the salaries in East Coast or West Coast are way higher than Middle America, right? Because of the cost of living and stuff. So it's not that you're getting a cheap labor, and also sponsoring H1B is not cheap. It costs a lot of dollars to file one H1B petition and then bring that person here, going through the whole visa process and the timelines involved in it, right? Because you file in April, and earliest somebody can come on a cap H1B is October 1. So there is a lot of time and there is a lot of expenses involved. And as of April 1, recently USCIS has increased fees associated with every H1B petition, and it can actually go up to $10,000 for one petition. So it is not cheap to bring people here, and it is not certainly cheap to pay them if the company is going by the law and they are following the requirements of the position, then they will have to pay the prevailing wage, and that's decided by Department of Labor.
Okay, all right. So, thank you so much for answering this question in so much detail and explaining each and every bit of it and every part of it. But then, I would like to know from you. So, you explained it in so much detail. But then, what is the take of non-immigrants on H1B visa? I mean, the immigrants, they of course, they like it. They consider it, as I said, a boon. But what about the non-immigrants? What do they have to say?
You mean American workers, right?
American
So
workers.
there are criticism of any system, right? It's not perfect. It
Yeah.
definitely needs reforms. It needs to be more aligned with the requirements and how the economy is moving. So there are no practical reforms that have been done in decades in H1B program, right? So definitely there is need. Are there instances where the visa program has been abused? Yes, there has been.
Okay.
But
Okay.
is that every company is abusing that? No, that is not correct either, right?
Uh-huh.
So the fact remains that there is a shortage in US in technical fields, and they need best of the best to stay here. US is the number one place where students come to study higher education. And if you go to the master's program in the US, those are all foreign students.
Okay.
American people, students do not go and do masters in STEM fields. They are mostly from outside. 100% of
Right.
the
Right.
students are sometimes from outside. And all this talent is coming and getting their degrees from US universities in STEM fields, because US is considered a place of opportunities, right? Where they want practical experience, and then after graduating they get the OPT and STEM OPT to get practical experience. Now, once, despite all of that, there is still shortage. So it is not that, like, American workers are being replaced. There are requirements for American workers also to upgrade their skills, right? Because technology is moving on a very fast pace. um, yes, sometimes some corporations wants to outsource, they did want to reduce cost, and that happens, but that happens across the board. That happens, right? Because every business wants to cut cost, but that does not mean that they're bringing cheap labor here. If they want to cut cost, they generally just outsource the jobs outside, and that's where Americans are losing jobs, right? Because if the whole department is being outsourced and it is done from Philippines or India or China with
Right.
people sitting in those countries, that's what's going to hurt American workers, not
Of
the
course.
H1B people who are coming here, because that's just creating competition, and they are getting paid the salaries which are required to get paid.
Okay, okay, understood. But you said there not all the companies are exploiting this program, but few of the companies are doing it. But if I talk about okay, you being an immigration attorney, so what percentage in your career have you seen the companies, percentage of the companies who are exploiting this and versus the ones who are not? If you can give us a
Well, see, I don't think you can have a percentage. It's also very difficult to say what an abuse of the system is, right? There is a pressure under which the companies have to work. They have to use this. It's all connected. So see, the issue is that there are only limited number of visas that are issued every year.
right.
85,000 work visas every year, out of which 20,000 are reserved for master's candidate, for people who have received their master's or PhD or whatever from US. Uh, so out of those 85,000 every year, that's still not enough for American workforce. And there is problem is, uh, every year, if there is a number and the probability of you getting picked up is dwindling every year, more and more people apply. Like, people start applying in their first year of OPT, because they don't know if they're going to get picked in the first year or second year or third year, right?
Right.
So if the company starts sponsoring them in the first year, is that abuse of the system? Not really, right? Because they have to try their chances and they want to keep this person. They have already invested in that person by hiring him, who has gone to US school, has the education from US, and they
Right.
have given him the training on OPT. Of course, they have invested time and they want to keep this person employed, so they keep on trying. And that's how it becomes even more difficult, because so this whole circle of the limited number of visas creates that whole problem of so many people applying, so many people are trying to come. If that
Yeah.
number is not there and it is all regulated by demand in the market, then probably the whole problem will not be there.
Okay, okay. All right. Thank you so much for answering the question again, Sonal. So my team will be saying, why is she not jumping into our next question? Because I have too many questions prepared for you. But I am
Sure.
getting this follow up question, so I'm sorry, team, if you're um, getting a little irritated with me asking my own questions. But it's just because I have this curiosity of asking this follow up question. So I just want to ask one more before I jump into, because we have already
Mhm.
started getting a lot of questions from the viewers also. So
Sure.
Santosh is here. Santosh has joined us from LinkedIn, and Ganesh Paul is here. Hi, Ganesh has joined from YouTube. Chaitanya, Manas, Benazir. Hi, everyone. Just please, I would request you to please stay tuned. Keep your patience, and I'm just asking these questions, and after we are done with these questions, we are definitely going to pick your questions, and Sonal is definitely going to help you all. So, Sonal, I was also about to ask you this next question that I have for you is, you said about 85,000 earlier. It was 85,000, but then let's say those 85,000, they get selected, they move to US, they get a job, but after that, their spouses are also allowed, right?
So their spouses, so when you come on H1B, your spouses come on H4. They are not allowed to work. Um,
Oh, okay.
just being on N4, H4 spouses are not allowed to work. They are allowed to work once the H1B applicant has I-140 approved, which is the green card process. When they reach that stage in their green card process where they have an I-140 approved, only after that the spouse is eligible to work. So H1B visa is valid for 6 years. If you do not start your green card process, then at the end of 6 years you move back. You cannot stay here. But if the employer starts a green card process for you during those 6 years and you reached a stage where your I-140 is now approved and you have a priority date and you're waiting for your green card date to become current, at that point, yes, the spouse will now be allowed to apply for work authorization and then work. But that also was created, it was not there until 2016. So work authorization for H4 spouses has only come in like last 8 years or so,
Right,
8 years.
right.
It was not there before that because the line or the wait to get the green card was not level that what's right now. Earlier in EB2 category, you would get it in like 3 to 5 years. That was the timeline. That's not the timeline anymore. So in 2016, given that it's taking so many years for people to get their green cards, this in order to retain these people, because at some point people, we can't stay here, and the spouses are also educated and they also want to work, and they want to support the family. So this provision was created that because it's taking so long for them to green card and get that financial independence, once you have the green card, this provision was created where H4s will be authorized to work once the applicants reach the I-140 stage. So it's not like the day you land here the spouses have the work authorization. It takes a time, at least few years, for them to reach that stage, and then they become eligible to work authorization.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you so much, Sonal, for clarifying the whole thing. Because I'm sure a lot of people must be there who must be confused about this thing, about H1B and also about H4. So thank you so much for clarifying the question. And now, before I jump into my next question, let's quickly take our viewers' question, because they must also be waiting for their turn. So the first question that we would like to take is of Santosh Kumar. Santosh has posted it on LinkedIn. Hi, Santosh. I hope you're doing good. And please also let us know where you're watching this live from, your city and your place. If you can please let us know, so that we can help you with more like we can give you a more specific answer about your situation. Okay, so the question that Santosh wants to ask is, as OPT student, is it possible to hold H1B after 3 years of OPT expiration? We also have a follow
Yes, of
up.
course. Of course. So most of the people who do their masters in
I'm so
STEM
sorry.
field
I'm really sorry to
eligible.
interrupt. I'm so sorry to interrupt, Sonal. I just would like to read the follow up also here. He says, I mean, which employer file H1B? Should I work for that employer 3 years of if if I hold the H1B?
I don't know what this question means. It's not very clear, but I will try to answer.
Okay.
The first question is that if you have a master's from US in STEM field, you qualify for OPT for 1 year and then 2 years of STEM OPT after that, which is like 3 years of work authorization. Now, employers start applying for your H1B during the first year itself because it's a lottery process and you might not get picked up in the first year. You could have, so if you get picked up in the first year, then yes, they can file it, and you do not have to go on the H1B right away. You can activate after you have completed your STEM OPT. Employer is willing to wait for another 2 years. If they would like you to be on H1B as soon as possible, then that's a conversation that you have to have with your employer. But yes, it is possible for you to use your 3 years on OPT and STEM OPT and then transition to H1B. Now, the next question, I think he meant that he needs to work for all those 3 years with the employer who has filed
Right.
H1B. See,
Yeah, I think so
if
too.
H1B If the employer is sponsoring you, they are investing money, they want you to work with them, but can they bind you to that? No, they cannot. You don't have to be employed with that employer, but then the employer also has no reason to keep that H1B, right? If you're not going to work with them, if it is not activated and you're still on your OPT and STEM OPT, and then you leave and you join some other company, and on continuing on OPT and STEM OPT, the employer might go ahead and withdraw the H1B. And now, if it is a cap H1B, then and it's withdrawn before October 1, which is the activate date, or if it was a counselor processing and it was never activated and they withdraw it where you have never activated your H1B status, then that cap number might be gone for you. So you will might have to go through the whole lottery process again with the new employer. So there are complex situations related to you not work that will depend on your personal choices, but nobody can bind you to work with an employer in the US. It's your wish. If you want to move on, there might be consequences related to it, but you don't certainly have to stick with the same employer.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Sonal, for giving such an amazing answer. And Santosh, I hope you have got the answer and I hope you're satisfied with it. And if you have a follow up, you are more than welcome to post it. So if you have any more question, please post it. Meanwhile, let's take another question. So the next question that we have is from Stephen Kim. So, what Stephen wants to know is what measures are in place to ensure that the H1B visa holders do not displace qualified American workers or undercut their wages?
Well, so H1B visa, like I said, is a regulated program, right? Department of Labor controls the wages that are required to be paid. H1B dependent employer, like means if the employer is heavily dependent on H1B workers, and that's their model. There are consulting companies who have that model where most of their employees are on H1B and they basically place those employees at the third party client side. In those cases, there are additional LCA obligations that the employer undertakes to comply with. Now, how does Department of Labor make sure that they do regular investigations on the employers who are in this space? They have all the data, and now with USCIS, DHS, and Department of Labor sharing data with each other, all these agencies have a lot of data on all the companies who go and file H1B petitions. But in addition, if you are an H1B dependent employer, you can pay, if you have to pay less than $60,000 in salary to any employee, it can only be if you are not an H1B dependent employer and the person has at least a master's degree. Otherwise, you're supposed to pay more than $60,000. And if not, then you will have to do the market test to show that you cannot find any American worker. All these labor market is generally required when you're sponsoring for somebody for green card and not for H1B purposes if the employer is abiding by the LCA compliance requirement, which means that they will pay the minimum prevailing wage that Department of Labor has set. And if they are not paying that, then the employee can basically make a complaint to Department of Labor and USCIS, and there can be investigations, which in that case, if the employer is found to be in violation of those obligations, they are heavily fined. And these are not like once in a time. Department of Labor is very aggressive in making sure that all the workers, American non-immigrants, are not being.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you so much, Stephen, for asking such a lovely question because, uh, Sonal has explained it in so much detail and so much depth. So thank you so much for asking the question. And I hope you have got the answer because I have. Because I was also supposed to ask you this question, Sonal. And now that Stephen has already asked, I'll skip this question. And now let's quickly take next question that is from LinkedIn. And the next question that we have is from Alex Kelly, consultant, is posted on LinkedIn, and Alex wants to know, it's nothing more than a disaster for the American workers. Okay. Is she talking about? I think she's talking about H1B. I think she wants to
It's more of a
have.
comment.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's not a question; it's a comment. So, but would you like to reply? Do you think it is a disaster for American workers, Sonal?
Well, see, it's a program which has its flaws. It certainly needs reforms.
Right.
But saying that it's completely a disaster, that's not going to be true either, because uh, there is a shortage of manpower in tech field or high skilled arena in US, and that what attracts not just from India or China, like from the rest of the world. The best talent wants, that's where the opportunity is, and United States also wants to keep this talent here because the companies need them and innovation needs that. So it has to be, everybody has to be taken together to make sure that nobody is being marginalized. Of course, definitely not American workers. They should not be marginalized. They should not be discriminated with foreign workers. Absolutely not, because every country would want their workers, American workers, to be taken care of first before they serve the need foreign workers to come here and be able to earn a living. So there are spheres where there can be more regulations and it can be managed properly. Yes, there are, but I think there are agencies who are doing their job. The DOJ, Department of Justice, has recently filed cases against Facebook, Apple,
Right.
looking into their discrimination practices, if there are any. Again, so all the agencies are there to help and make sure that this program is not being abused. But yes, there are flaws, and that could be, fixed or at least managed properly.
And Sonal, thank you so much, Alex, for posting your comment, and thank you so much for also making a comment to her comment, Sonal. But you are again and again you're talking about having strict reforms. So can you like mention few that as an immigration attorney you would want
So see,
to be
there
implemented?
are this whole H1B is also tied up with the green card processes, right? Why people are on H1B for 20 years? Because they're not getting the green card, uh,
Right.
because there is a backlog. So I think the whole legal immigration setup needs reform that can move together simultaneously in parallel, and that would help ease out a lot of burden on the H1B program as well. So if we take legal immigration, like for people from India and China, it's lifetime wait, like they're not getting it. So how can that be fixed? Um, there is a set number of employment-based visas that are issued for green cards every year, and out of those set number also, around 7% is issued to each country. Now, Congress can just do away that percentage so that people from India and China do not have that backlog. The other reform that could be done, which is heavily kind of, advocated about, is that when you calculate the number of visas, right now the family is also counted against the number of visa, which is like if there are 10 visas to be issued and one family has 4 members, it's considered that 4 visas are issued instead of just one, considering it one for the primary applicant and not including the family, because some people came here like on F1, and
Yeah.
20 years later now they're married, they have kids, and families have grown. Now one person applied, but then they now they have family which is also including in the numbers. So what that's of the ways. And the other ways which is being advocated is to remove the number for people who have masters or PhD from STEM fields, and that might help them getting the green card sooner, and reduce that burden on the H1B program, because they're going to keep on doing that. For perspective, like it has not evolved with the time, which means like right now there are so many people who do their masters here, come here as students, they do their masters, they do their PhDs, and now they want to do startups and open companies, and do these innovative techniques and apps and solutions for the people, and they cannot sponsor themselves. So
Yeah.
one of the proposed regulation that USCIS recently posted, and they are reviewing the comments on it, is that if you are a startup and a founder, you would be able to sponsor your visa, H1B visa, from your company yourself. And that might help a lot of genuine startup founders, or people who want to create technology that might help a lot of on a national level to Americans as well. So that can be the helpful. uh, Also, in terms of like, they already have an anti-fraud unit. USCIS already has an anti-fraud unit which is very active, and they do regularly make site visits on the H1B petitions where the employee is working, whether he's working where the petition says that the employee is working, whether it's working in the same position that the petition says, whether he's getting paid the wages that the petition says. So there is a lot of checks and balances in place, but of course, there is need for more reforms, which is aligned with the requirements of the industry and the workforce.
Okay, okay. All right. Thank you so much, Sonal, for the answer. It really was insightful. And I would like to tell you that a lot of people have joined us. I'm again and again telling you, but also saying hi to all the viewers here who are watching us on different platforms: LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And Dare is here. And I hope I'm taking your name right, Dare. Dare is saying Dare from Nigeria. So hi and hello back to you. I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're enjoying the session also. And now Santosh is back with his follow-up question. So if you remember Santosh, he asked his first question.
Yeah.
So now what Santosh wants to know is, suppose F1 initial OPT student, he got H1B lottery. Is it possible to hold H1B? I mean, after expiration of OPT.
Yeah, so depends, right? How you want to file the H1B. If the H1B is filed as a consular processing because you do not want to change status to H1B, then you can at a future date activate the H1B and go to H1B status when you have completed your OPT. Now, again, it comes back to, if you have got selected in the first year itself and the employer has filed the petition and you have taken the cap number, and you want to not go in H1B for the 2 more years that you have STEM OPT, and then you don't work with this employer and move, then the employer is probably going to withdraw the H1B, because now they don't want to, you're not working with them anymore, so they don't need that H1B. So you have to be careful about what your plans are, how you're going to do, because for that H1B for you to be able to use after STEM OPT has to remain unrevoked if it is consular processing. But if you do it as a change of status, then you forgo your STEM OPT period and you just change status to H1B and activate your H1B right away. So that's the balance you have to see. But yes, it is possible to have an H1B and activate at a later date once your OPT or STEM OPT is completed.
Wow. Okay. So Santosh, I hope now you're satisfied. But he again also has a follow up. So he's trying to ask as many questions as possible, because it is the opportunity that he has right now to ask the question. So Santosh, what his next question is, possible to hold H1B as OPT student? There is counselor process. What is that? Can you please explain little bit more?
So H1B petition can be, if you are in United States, H1B petition can be filed two ways. One is that you filed as a change of status, which means you want to move from your F1 status to H1B status. And as of October 1, if it is a cap petition, if applied as a change of status, your status will automatically change to H1B. Now, if you do not want to change status immediately, then the H1B petition will be filed as a consular processing, which means that to activate it, you have to step out, go to the consulate in your home country and get an H1B visa stamped, and then enter on an H1B visa to activate your H1B status. That's what consular processing means, that you will not change your status from F1 to H1B while in the United States. You would rather go out, get a visa like you got a visa on as an F1 student. You will go to the consulate, ask for the H1B visa stamp in your passport, and then use that to travel and enter United States.
Okay, amazing. So, Santosh, I hope you're happy now. If you are, do subscribe to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show and let us know if you are now happy with all the answers and now if you're satisfied. Thank you so much for posting your questions. Now, let's quickly move to our next question. The next question that we have, Sonal, is from Ajay, and Ajay has posted this on YouTube. And what Ajay wants to know is, can you explain why the H1B program has been criticized for lacking adequate protections for American workers, particularly in regards to whistleblower protections and retaliation claims? What do you have to say?
Well, see, the issue is people sometimes have this connotation that they cannot go against their employer, and like a fear of retaliation, but that's not the case. In fact, US actually provides pretty good protections to whistleblowers and retaliation, and that's how some of the cases against big corporations were brought into light, where whistleblowers, American workers who saw something going wrong in the company, or they had some issues or claims to make, they reported that as a whistleblower. That's how the whole investigation started. Now, how many people take that chance if they see some, like it's a, if you see something, say something, right? So
Right.
how many people would take that chance to, file a complaint and report it? That's another issue, whether people are doing it or not, or whether there is enough education about it that you can do this. But yes, there should be more awareness about it, that if there are some things which you need to bring out to the appropriate agencies, then you should. And as American workers, the the non-immigrants who are employed with the H1B employer and US companies, they are more afraid of losing their job or whatever, right? If they have problems, so they don't report it and then just move on to another employer, change jobs. But for American workers, they have much more avenues, because this is their country, right? Nobody is gonna like send them anywhere, and they have a lot
Yeah.
of protections from government. If they see something, they should report it. And that's how, in the past at least, the few big cases that had happened where it was brought to the attention of the authorities, investigations were carried out based on that reports only.
Okay. All right. So thank you so much for answering the question, Sonal. And again, Ajay, thank you so much for posting it on YouTube and asking it. And now I think it's time for a short break because, Sonal has answered a lot of questions and there are a lot of questions still pending. So before Sonal answers them, we would like you to, on also Sonal, to, to grab a drink and, more stretch your legs and be more comfortable and don't go anywhere because when we return, like I said, we'll delve deep into the topic whether the H1B visa program is helping or hurting American workers. And if you want to get in touch with, directly get in touch with Sonal Sharma, so here are her contact details. You can give her a call at +1 646 360 5955. You can also email her at sonal@sharmalawassociates.com. And also you could visit her website, which is www.sharmalawassociates.com. And now let's quickly go for a break and come back in no time.
Are you an IT consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients. Connect with us. Call us on the number 732-707-9151 or mail us at rajni@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you all are refreshed and ready to continue our discussion. Before the break, we talked about a lot of things related to H1B and if it is hurting American workers or not. The H1B program is hurting American workers or not. And we also took a lot of questions from you as well as in you, the viewers. So now it's again time to dive into the heart of our viewers, Sonal, by taking their questions again. And so, are you ready?
Sure, let's go.
And also, Sonal, before I take viewers' question, I would also like to know from you. It is your first episode today on immigration and jobs talk show. How are you? I mean, are you enjoying it? And uh, I mean, I would like to know, like, till
Sure.
now, what's your experience?
It's very it's a topic which is serious, and I'm very glad to see this engagement from our viewers who really want to understand and how the program is helping or hurting. But there are always like two sides to a coin, so it's always a picture. But also these topics are important for all the visa holders or Americans or attorneys or laypersons to understand, because we're all living in this world and this has become part of our lives. So but yeah, I'm enjoying the participation, I'm enjoying the engagement, so happy to be here.
Wow. It's an honor to have you here. And thank you so much for saying that, for saying those lovely words. And we also are enjoying this amazing discussion and your amazing, insightful answers. So now let's just not let's just not talk anything about the immigration and not about immigration. Let's talk about immigration, but let's talk about the viewers question now. So the next question that we have is from Benazir. Okay, so Benazir wants to know, how does the H1B visa program contribute to innovation and competitiveness in American workforce, and what are the potential drawbacks? What do you have to say?
Well, see, yeah, innovation and competitiveness, yes, because best of the best talent comes to US.
Yeah.
Everybody, not just India, China, like that's just because of the numbers and
Mm,
the issues around the, but other countries as well, Europe, Africa, everywhere, best of the best talent come here. And also America, being the land of opportunity, is the place where if you have talent, you get your chance. And that's just the fact of it. That's why people come here. That's why people want to be in America and carry out their ventures. And if you see in Silicon Valley, all the new innovation, technology stuff that comes out, most of it comes from immigrants, because there is a support system where these immigrants can come and apply their knowledge, and all these, most of these people go to American universities for their higher studies, right?
right.
The universities are imparting these students with the knowledge that they will eventually use to create these companies. And if you look at like SpaceX, right, like what it is doing,
Yeah.
the whole EV market that Tesla has disrupted, again, immigrants creating. But they're not just doing it alone, right? It's bringing all the American workforce, the American infrastructure, the American support system. It's easy to do business here. So all of that kind of helps not just the immigrants, it certainly helps immigrants, but across the board. Like yesterday, I was reading Department of Homeland Security had posted on LinkedIn that for every 1,000 immigrants in any city or state adds $2.6 million to state and city local economies. And if the immigrants stay there for 5 years, it adds $3.6 million. So, that kind of why, because all these immigrants, when they come here, they invest in these companies, they take the jobs, they invest, they want to buy houses, they want to buy cars, they want to invest in businesses, which helps in terms local businesses to get more work. Also, despite whether they get green card or not, while they are here and they are earning money, they're also contributing in taxes. One of the highest paying taxpayers are immigrants, right? So in social security tax, Medicare, they all social benefits, which helps the Americans as well. All these master's students that they come here, they pay the tuition to go to school. All those tuition fees is generally used to give scholarships to the undergrad students, which are American students. That money is used for Americans to get scholarships to get their bachelor's degree from best universities in US. So it's like an ecosystem where everybody is helping each other to make a better place for everyone. At least that's what I feel.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is. And, but okay. So after Banazir's question, so Banazir, thank you so much for posting your question. I hope, you got your answer and I hope you're satisfied with it. But right now, before we move to another viewer, Sonal, I would like to know from you about, with the rise of remote work, basically. So remote work and globalization, do you think the concept of national borders is becoming increasingly irrelevant? And how does this impact the debate surrounding the H1B visa program? What would you like to say?
Well, see, that's the globalization is happening, and there are countries who have issued these nomad visas and everything, but US has no nomad visa so far. There are only limited work authorization visas that are available to you, and also with H1B, there is a certain number, right, that every year that is allowed. So, but need is there. Um, is remote work going to be there? Yes, it's going to remote there because that's just part of life. But at least in America, all the companies, at least major companies, are opting for a hybrid system and not 100% remote. It's again, we go back to that ecosystem, right? If you look at New York City, if it is 100% remote during COVID, so many local businesses shut down, restaurants shut down, so many local businesses, shops shut down because there's just nobody in the city, right? Everybody is home and there
Right.
is no spending happening, and that's hurting the economy, the local city economy. So everything has to come together, and the employers and companies now want workers to come into office at least once or twice a week and have this hybrid model, which kind of, yes, you can work remotely, but then also all the issues of having that bond with your team or getting face-to-face time with your team or your manager or your co-workers is also important for the environment of work environment. So all these things are there. So I don't think it's going to be like, oh, it becomes irrelevant that you don't need any workers to come here and work and they can just work remotely from anywhere. If the work can be done 100% remotely, it is just outsourced to that location. Like all the big companies have back offices in different countries, and the work that can be done there is done there. But if the
Right.
work requires you to be available on site, then even if you're working from home in America, you at least are in the vicinity where you can be called to work. You can go there and,
Yeah.
be available physically if need be. So there are certain jobs which you cannot do remotely, right? Even in like tech world also, like healthcare, you cannot do everything remotely in
Yeah,
healthcare. Like,
absolutely.
you have to be there.
Yeah.
So I don't think like 100% remote is going to impact, like, because there will be need for people to be physically available and
Mhm.
come to work, and most of the companies are opting for hybrid system anyway.
Yeah.
But yes, US will also eventually, I think, move along and come up with a system where it is easier for people to, right now there is a gap. Like if you have to come here just for few months, H1B doesn't really make sense, right? It's a very long process, and if the requirement is only for few months, then that kind of doesn't work for many companies. But if there is a system or a visa which allows you to come here, do your job for a few months and then go back, companies will happily choose that temporary stuff. People come here, do their job, go back, and it's not like a permanent, oh, placing workers or
Yeah.
anything. They're just
Mhm.
using their skills, do the work, and then go back. And I think people will be, even immigrant, non-immigrants who do not want to, stay long term in the US
Yeah.
for many reasons, would be happy to take that opportunity.
Of course, of course. And I think it is one of the best opportunities also, for the ones who are looking for work in the US but do not want to permanently move there, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So thank you so much for answering the question, Sonal. Now I would again like to jump to the viewer's question. And the next question that we have is from Abhishek Ray. And Abhishek has posted it on YouTube. And Abhishek says, hello from Arizona. Would you think an industry, mining or construction, for instance, need based work visa would be more practical to fill the missing gaps in areas where there is a genuine shortage?
100%. I think that is the way to go. Even for like, it's I think decades ago before my time, there was a time when there was no cap for H1B. There was no fiscal timelines to file H1B, and it was all need based. Like whenever you need throughout the year, you can apply and then bring the person, and when the need is not there, they can go back or whatever. But that allows the market to determine the demand. Right now what is happening is there are these numbers, right, and everybody is just trying to grab that number for future.
Yeah.
Oh, I might need workers. I need to have this work visa, and that's what it's causing all this issue. But if you let the market decide what is the need, and the employer does not have to go through this whole planning of a year or 2 year or 3 year in advance, that, oh, I need this worker, let me try, because I might not get in the first year or my second year and third year, and that's just keep on increasing. But if it is demand based, like Abhishek is saying, that then sure, like if you have need today and employer wants to sponsor and they can't find anybody in the US, they should not have to wait for full whole year to bring somebody here. They should be able to file it the next day, bring the worker, do the work, and if it is done, it is done, you go back. So
Right.
definitely, I think that would be very much helpful if it is, if you let the market decide what the demand is, and then fill that demand based on those metrics.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much, Abhishek, for posting your question. I hope you have got the answer. And, and of what you posted, the attorney agreed. She said 100%. So I hope you are happy and satisfied with the answer. So thank you so much for your question. Now let's quickly move to one last question for the show. So the next question that we have is from Ganesh Paul. And Ganesh wants to know what best practices can companies implement to demonstrate H1B visa holders are complementing, not replacing US workers. I think we already talked about it, right? You already mentioned a couple of things. But would you like to take it again?
Well, yeah, see, this is also, you have to see it is intertwined with employment laws as well of the US. The companies in US cannot discriminate based on, your ethnicity, race, whatever you want to call it, and your nationality and your immigrant status and whatever. So there are discrimination laws in place which are there to help. I think what is more required, which can help everybody, is awareness and training for their staff, for HR staff or for mobility staff, to be aware of the requirements of the process and the programs in place so that they do not, even mistakenly, somebody can do mistakes which are, have serious consequences. But of course, for companies, they need to understand that, this H1B visa program is to help support the US companies to fill the gaps for the shortage and not abuse it to replace US workers. That's not going to help anybody, not the industry, not the workers, not the companies. So they need to understand that they are filling a shortage, and then only genuine people who actually qualify and who actually, can fill that shortage where there is actual need are given that opportunity. But also they can have internal training of voice, right? Because see, technology moves very fast. It becomes obsolete very quickly on a daily
Right.
basis. It
Yeah.
changes. So it's not just for the H1B workers or any workforce. They should have internal training processes where all the employees, including US workers, can get their skills upgraded on a regular basis, which not only just make them valuable for the company they are working, but also enriches them to go out and seek more competitive jobs and better wages for themselves. So I think that is one way where companies can help, that it has to survive together, and it is not for this program is not meant to replace and should not be used that way anyway.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much for saying that, Sonal, and thank you so much for taking all these questions and answering them with so much clarity and in so much detail. But unfortunately, I would like to tell my lovely viewers that I wish we had more time, but that's all the time we have for questions today. But fear not, if your questions didn't make it through, you can always reach out to Sonal Sharma. Her contact number is +1 646 360 5955. Yes, there we have it on the screen. +1 646 360 5955. Her email is sonal at sharmalawassociates.com, and her website is www.sharmalawassociates.com. And if you're looking for a project placement or visa sponsorship, please reach out to me on my contact number, which is +1 732 707 9151. My email is Rajni at higheritpeople.com. And you could also visit our website, which is www.higheritpeople.com. Remember, we also sponsor H1B visas and other work visas based on job availability and regulations. And if you're watching this video after the live session has ended, you can still continue to post your questions. My team will help you with an answer. And that wraps up today's episode on Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. A huge thank you, Sonal, for sharing your expertise with us. And also a huge thank you to all the viewers for tuning in such huge numbers and posting your questions. But before I let you go, Sonal, any last message for the audiences?
Well, thank you so much for having me here, and it was lovely to interact with the audience and be able to answer questions. And I look forward to our future participation and be able to help and answer any questions that our audience might have in future as well. Thank you so much.
Lovely, lovely. We are so excited to, I'm already so much excited for our next session. So we are definitely going to plan it, and we'll come back with a new session and a new webinar with Sonal Sharma, everyone. But don't go anywhere just yet. We have another exciting webinar coming up in just about 5 to 10 minutes. So you just stay tuned with Immigration and Jobs Talk Show for more insightful discussions and expert perspectives. Until then, take care, stay informed, and keep on subscribing and keep on watching to Immigration and Jobs Talk Show. Bye for now.
Are you an IT consultant seeking a new opportunity? We offer job placement services for US citizens, green cards, EADs, and visa holders. We also sponsor various work visas like H1B, E3, TN, and green cards. 20 plus years of experience in the industry. Exceptional employee benefits. Highly rated by our employees. Global presence with 200 plus recruiters and direct clients.
Connect with us. Call us on the number 732-707-9151 or mail us at rajni@higheritpeople.com or visit our website www.higheritpeople.com.